Welcome back to Math with Miss Swartz. Today is just going to be a quick overview of scientific notation. Probably going to talk about a little bit more after you watch the video. So this shouldn't take very long. You've probably already done it. You've already seen it. This is a good review. So first, definition of scientific notation. A number is written in scientific notation when it's represented as the product of a factor and a power of 10. So why do we use scientific notation? If we're working with really big numbers or really small numbers, and it makes it easy for us to write those numbers out. So the factor, the number out in front, has to be equal to 1 but less than 10. So greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10. So you probably remember writing some of these, but a lot of questions that I get when it comes to scientific notation is what will we use this for? Okay. This is used a lot within anything when we're talking about space. Anytime you're working with really big numbers or really small numbers, so that could be in a lot of different areas, but this is just another way for us to write them. And the thing that ties us to the topic that we're on is the exponents. You can see we're working with the power of 10. So you may ask, what is it that we need to be able to do with scientific notation? Well, we need to be able to go from scientific notation to standard form, meaning just as a number. We need to be able to go from standard form to scientific notation. And that's what we're going to focus on in the video. So, it says write the number in scientific notation. So remember, you have a factor and then you have a power of 10. So we need to talk about what that looks like. Our factor has to be between 1 and 10. Okay, so we are going to move our decimal point, if we have one in the problem, or give ourselves a decimal point, because there's always a decimal at the end of a number, between numbers that would create a number between 1 and 10. So for this instance, okay, if I move my decimal point, if I wanted a number between 1 and 10, it would be 3.4. Okay, I wouldn't want 34, that's bigger than 10, and I wouldn't want 0.34, that's lower than 1. So 3.4 is our number. Now we need a power of 10, so we're going to be multiplying that by 10 to the something power. Well, it just depends. First question you can ask yourself, is it a really big number or a really small number? Well, this is a small number, and we are moving our decimal place to the right. So we are going to actually have a negative exponent here. We have talked about negative exponents and how we can move those to the denominator. But in this case, we're just going to work with the negative exponent. Okay, negative, how many times did we move our decimal place? So 1, 2, 3, and 4, so negative 4. So that would be that number in scientific notation. Okay, so for number 2, our decimal place starts at the end of the number because it's a really big number, so we know our exponent's going to be positive. We want to put our decimal point between two numbers that's going to create a number between 1 and 10, in this case 6.75. Anytime you see a number, you have to write it with it. Zeros can be taken off because those are going to be our base 10s. So how many times did I move it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 10 to the 6. So remember, if it's positive, it's going to make it a bigger number. If it's negative, it's going to be making it a smaller number. Okay, so here I would want my decimal place after the 7. So 7 times 10 to the, how many times did I move it? It's a small number, so it's going to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, negative 8. Okay, so I want you to try 4, 5, 6 on your own. So as I said at the beginning, we not only have to take excuse me, standard numbers and make them into scientific notation, but we have to go the other way as well. So these numbers are given to us in scientific notation. We want to write them in standard form. So realize our decimal is always right after this number. We're going to move it. This time we're coming opposite, so it's positive. I know this is going to be a big number, so I'm going to move it 3 to the right. Well, you could have the loops, or you could know that that gives us 3 zeros. 6,000 would be our answer. Here we have a negative exponent, so we're going to move our decimal to the left. So sometimes it helps me to see 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 zeros after the decimal. really small number. Okay, here 1, sometimes it's hard to see, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okay, so I want you to try 4, 5, and 6 on that as well. So realize these numbers are in scientific notation. They have numbers between 1 and 10, and we're just creating the actual number from that. So we're moving the decimal point depending on if it's positive or negative. We have to remember, if it's negative, that makes our number very small. If it's positive, we're making the number really big. Okay. Hopefully you're kind of remembering this. So the last thing, we're just going to look at this. It's just some more examples. So the land area of Virginia is about 39,500 square miles. The land area of Alaska is 570,000 square miles, and the United States land area is 3,500,000 square miles. Write each of these in scientific notation. So I'm going to take each one. Okay. When we're working with scientific notation, our first factor needs to be a number between 1 and 10, so that would be 3.95 in this case. How many times did I move my decimal to make it a big number? 2, 3, 4, so times 10 to the 4th power, because we have our base 10 there. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to move my decimal between 5 and 7 to create my number between 1 and 10. 10 to the, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th power. And then here I'm going to move it between 3 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Times 10 to the 6th power. Always have a power of 10, always have a factor. Okay, so depending on what class is watching this right now, we may continue on. We may do a few other things together. So just listen and follow listen for the directions about what we're going to do next. Have a great